Welcome into the Davis Football Show, everyone. My name is Nick Davis, and we're here with my brother Rob in the Davis Studios. Thank you so much for listening today. We are going to be covering all things football for you sports fans. This is the DFS.
It's been 10 days since George Floyd was brutally murdered.
How many times do we need to ask you to listen to your players?
What will it take
for one of us to be murdered by police brutality?
What if I was George Floyd?
If I was George Floyd?
What if I was George Floyd?
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 I am George Floyd.
I am Breonna Taylor.
I am Ahmaud Arbery.
I am Eric Garner.
I am Laquan McDonald.
I am Tamir Rice.
I am Trayvon Martin.
I am Walter Scott.
I am Michael Brown Jr.
I am Samuel Du Bois.
I am Frank Smart.
I'm Philip White.
I am Jordan Baker.
We will not be silenced.
We assert our right
to peacefully protest.
It shouldn't take this long to admit.
So, on behalf of the National Football League,
this is what we, the players,
would like to hear you state.
We, the National Football League,
condemn racism and the systematic oppression of black people.
We, the National Football League,
admit wrong and silencing our players from peacefully protesting.
We, the National Football League,
believe Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Man, what a powerful message. Today is a much different episode, one that we didn't really look towards when we originally started the podcast, but here we are, and here the NFL is in a much different situation today than I think they were expecting. They were faced with dealing with coronavirus and how to go about opening facilities and getting the players and coaches back into the buildings and starting training camp. And here we are handling a much different movement, much needed movement. This is not new. Colin Kaepernick started taking a knee in 2016. Rob, that is over 1,400 days ago. Do you know how long a day is? 1,400. And to think that, there was so much talk and discussion about that and, on both sides. And to think here we are today, 4 years later, and I think it's even stronger. And I think it kind of opened the eyes and maybe the hearts and minds of a lot of people. And I think this clip that we just played kind of pushed the league and the NFL to come out and say exactly what they asked them to say. Roger Goodell came out with a statement saying, "We, the NFL, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of black people. We, the NFL, admit we were wrong for not listening to the NFL players earlier, as in 2016, when Colin Kaepernick were taking a knee, and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the NFL, believe Black Lives Matter." And that is something that was not said 4 years ago. And, man, I think if it was, Colin Kaepernick will still be playing in the league right now.
Yeah, of course he was. Him taking that knee was the main reason why he was blackballed out the NFL, because a lot of the NFL owners are Trump supporters, so they're really against kneeling during the anthem. So I feel like it's a good thing Roger Goodell put out that statement, but we'll see once the season starts, because it's a conflict of interest with the owners and the players and the commissioners, because, the owners are going to want the players kneeling during the anthem, because last time they did lose a lot of support and fans and money. So, Goodell works for the owners, so we'll see. Goodell's going to get a lot of pressure from the owners to not let him kneel, so we'll see how that plays out.
Right, and at the end of the day, Goodell works for the owners, and the owners, do pay the players. So, their opinions are going to ultimately play a part in all of this, but for Roger Goodell and the league to come out and support the way they haven't prior, in 2016, I really feel like they really left it up to the individual teams to, handle everything in house when, they're, coming out this year and to saying that he's encouraging, the peaceful protest and that he plans to protest alongside the players. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, we'll see. I know you never know. Some owners might try to punish players for kneeling, but if the Roger Goodell is not going to allow them to get fined, so we'll see. We'll see his stance then.
Yeah, it's exciting, in my opinion, because I feel like having Goodell in the league support is only just making the movement that much stronger. And, it is unfortunate that it had to take all of this to get to this point. I don't understand why we couldn't get to this point in 2016. But I think it takes sometimes people to be personally affected to see and or to understand or to even begin to listen. And I do want to touch on Drew Brees because he is, one of the most popular players in the league by far. And I'm a big fan of. I've been watching Drew for a long time, and being a quarterback, he's someone who, like me, it's not the strongest guy or the fastest guy, and someone, you look towards growing up how you don't need to be the freak in the weight room to be the leader on the team. And, he came out earlier when all of this was going down with an interview with Yahoo Sports stating how he does not support anyone who doesn't stand for the anthem and how it's a disrespect to him and the flag. And I think it wasn't until he started getting the backlash of his, players that he is on the team with, and also, players and just athletes and superstars around the league, that, he then later apologized and now says he understands. I mean, what do you think about that whole situation, Rob?
I feel like when he was first asked, that's how he really feels in his heart. But once the public heard that statement, and I mean, they were saying "fuck Drew Brees" in the streets of New Orleans. So that public, they're publicly bringing down his name. So then I feel like that's when a lot of people switch up, then want to be on a more popular side. So it doesn't make him look bad, but you don't really know if that's how he really feels, or he just do it to protect his image.
Yeah, true. I mean, it could just be some protection here, but he could also really feel that this was his apology. Through my ongoing conversations with friends, teammates, and leaders in the black community, I realized this is not an issue about the American flag. It's never been. We can no longer use the flag to turn people away or distract them from the real issues that face our black communities. We did this back in 2017, and I brought it back with my comments this week. We must stop talking about the flag and shift the attention to the real issue of systematical racial injustice, economic oppression, police brutality, and judicial and prison reform. We are at a critical juncture in our nation's history, if not now, then when? And then he goes on and speaks on how he's going to now support and show how much this issue and movement really means to him. And, again, is it all to just cover how he really felt? It's very difficult to see how you can be so one-sided one day and so, flip completely the other way the next. But maybe he just understands now when he didn't understand before.
Yeah, I feel you on that, but when Kaepernick was kneeling, do you think no one explained to him then? Why is he just listening now?
Yes, exactly. So, yes, I think it was explained then. I think it was explained clearly then to many people. But you just said, why is he listening now? It's because he's being personally attacked. And I think, many people today are being personally attacked. And that's why many people are now hearing and seeing the seriousness of this movement.
Right, yeah, everyone's on the good side now, but let's wait 6 months, see if they're, people acting the same or change back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 4 years from now, 1,400 days from now, are we going to be in the same situation, talking about yet another victim? Change. I think change is on the way. I think it's too large of a focus now for change not to occur. As far as the extent of that change, we'll see. I mean, we will soon see.
Yeah, I see. I already see a lot of changes going on now that wouldn't have happened without this movement that's going on. So hopefully they keep on going and don't just stop after it's not the trend anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And me and you, I think are in a situation today that we would not have been allowed or privileged to be in if we were not protesting. Not we per se, but if the black community was not protesting years ago. Like, dude, how much fight and civil rights that we had to work through in order for us to be, as privileged and lucky to be in the situations we're in today.
Of course, yeah, it takes a long time. Like, things don't change in a week. So, I mean, we just have to keep going and pushing forward for more change.
All right, so where do you think this is going to fall in the league when games do begin playing? Because, it's very easy for everyone to jump on, their comments and how they feel and all of this today. But when games start playing, how is it going to actually affect real teams? Or do you think it's going to affect real teams? Or is it going to be, let's line up and play to win the game, regardless on your, let's use the Saints for an example. How are his teammates going to feel playing alongside Drew Brees this fall?
I feel like they're a team, so I feel like they're not going to just like turn on the whole team. I feel like the team will mostly stick together. There might be some people, still don't like Drew Brees, but I mean, it's still a game of football. They're still going to do their job. It's still a job at the end of the day. So I feel like as a team, it's not really going to affect a lot of teams as much. It's more going to be the owners versus the players. Because if all these teams kneel during the anthem, then they're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of fans. They're going to lose a lot of money, I feel like. So the owners aren't going to be happy. They're not going to want the players kneeling during the anthem, so they're going to go to Roger to try to get them not to kneel. So, yeah, I feel it's going to be more the players against the owners.
And you feel like simply having players kneel and protest during the anthem is going to cause that much lost revenue, that it's going to be that big of a deal?
Of course, yeah. That's one of the reasons when Kaepernick started kneeling, they lost a lot. A lot of fans didn't want to support the NFL anymore when they were letting Kaepernick kneel. That's why he got blackballed. So we'll see this time around when more players. I feel like most of the NFL is going to be kneeling during the anthem. So I don't know how they can't blackball most of the league and the star players.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough. But given the situation now, don't you feel like more people will be in support of this protest?
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be more people supporting it compared to last time, definitely. But still, they're still gonna lose. They're still gonna lose some revenue. A lot of fans, I feel like.
Yeah. Now, Michael Thomas, who led that video to the league, began that clip that we played, is on the same team as Drew Brees. And he actually came out and stated, man, he originally stated Drew Brees don't know no better after the original comment, but after the apologies, he came out and said, I accept his apology, and now we need to move forward. And I think it's sincere. I think he believed him, accepted it truthfully. But do you feel that there's going to be players on the Saints that aren't going to be able to accept it?
There might be some.
And is that going to cause tension there?
There might be some, honestly. It just depends on what players. Like, if the big players are against Drew Brees, they'll have like a bigger following in the locker room to be against, Drew Brees. But I feel like it's still a team, so they're gonna get together no matter what the views are.
Yeah. Now, moving off this topic a little bit, but let's stay on the beginning of the league year when games start to, or the league year passed, but the beginning of training camp and games and starting actually to get back to normal football. How are the teams going to handle this coronavirus? And is it gone, or is it still lingering around?
Oh, it's definitely not gone. It's just it's just less people being affected by it right now. So they released like the requirements for the NFL teams to start training camp. I know the lockers, you got to be 6 feet away. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. I feel like they're going to have more than one locker room, because 6 feet apart, how are you going to fit so many people in one locker room being 6 feet apart? So
yeah, and the NFL lockers are much larger than our lockers in high school. I think 4 lockers were in a 6 feet window, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the NFL lockers are a little bigger, but they're still right next to each other. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, are you going to have to go every other locker? But then half of your players aren't going to have lockers.
Now, it said they got to be 6 feet apart. So how much is that? Is that 2 lockers? 2 lockers apart?
It might be. Yeah, I mean, it might be depending on the room.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to fit all the players in one locker room, having to be 6 feet apart. I feel like it's not possible. So you might have to split up the team. Some players might have to go in a different locker room. That's the only chemistry issue I see. But I mean, I don't feel like who's gonna be in the locker room saying what players, like, I don't know if there's gonna be people in the locker room making sure they're 6 feet apart. I feel like if you always buy, like in years past, if you were buy players that you were always buy, I think I don't know if they're gonna want to be 6 feet apart. I don't know how that's gonna work, but that's the only chemistry issue I see, if you have 2 separate locker rooms.
Yeah, I can see that being a major issue. As far as fans being in the stands, I mean, do you think that's possible still?
I mean, week 1 is until preseason. There'll definitely be no fans in the stands. I don't know if they're going to even play all 4 preseason games, but when the regular season comes around, that's, what is that, 3 months from now? 3 months, things could change. 3 months before from now, look how things were. So things change really fast. We have no idea how it's going to be, but I feel like if I had to guess, there'll definitely be fans in the stands for week 1. It's just, I don't know if they could be at capacity, maybe like 50% or 70%, but it's not going to be full stadiums week 1.
Yeah, I think starting to open them at a limited capacity is definitely going to be step 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's something that is going to be continuously growing as the year goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it'll be at a certain capacity until at least the playoffs. Then once the playoffs comes around, then they might be able to go back to full stadiums. Hopefully.
Can you imagine some of the rookie players coming in and never experiencing like a full stadium until the playoff game? Like, imagine like Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the Chiefs coming in never playing with the sold out, never playing at Arrowhead while it's sold out, and then coming into a playoff home game, round one of the playoffs, and having that place roaring.
Oh yeah, it'd definitely be different for the rookies. It's a huge difference. But I feel like at LSU, how big was their stadium?
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know the exact dimensions, but yeah, some of those, some of those players who come from the massive major college programs, yeah, they do experience that atmosphere.
Yeah, and they were in the college football playoffs. They won a championship, so playing in front of big crowds for some rookies will be no problem. But like if you come from like a D2 or D3 school, that'll be a big change for them.
Yeah. Now, going into preparing for your opponent, they're like typically teams from scout teams, and they film study, and all of these are group activities that kind of require you to get kind of close and personal. I mean, do you think all of that's going to move to remote?
No, I feel like it's football. You can't really stay 6 feet apart during like practice and all that. It's still gonna come together. I don't know if I heard like they're gonna make like face shields where like it's a visor, but it goes like through the whole face mask. But I mean that's
I saw that as well.
Yeah, yes. But that's like the most you could do now. Like you can't play football and be 6 feet apart. So.
Would you like playing with something like that?
With a full face mask?
Yeah, like a visor that's on your like a full face shield.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the player's gonna like it. I mean,
no, I'm saying, would you have liked to play with it in high school when we played? I feel a visor on a cloudy, foggy, rainy day, like a visor can be a headache to deal with. Now imagine that on your full face. Imagine how that'll fog up with you breathing on it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the NFL got a lot of money. Hopefully, they could get something that don't fog up. Yeah, they'll figure it out. They'll figure something out.
That's the typical response for any business. Like let's pick the smartest guy and have him figure it out. Like that's
exactly. Yeah, they'll figure something out. They'll make it work. They still got a few months to get it right.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty fortunate to be over here talking about the hope and being very optimistic about the return of the NFL because, unlike baseball and basketball, like their seasons were crippled and never. I mean, it doesn't. It looks more promising today than a few months back, but. The NFL hasn't lost a beat, and even if a week or a few games or something gets delayed, it does look pretty promising that the full season is going to be really uninterrupted, despite some changes or some tweaks to the way it operates. It does seem like it's going to be just as enjoyable and just as entertaining.
Yeah, honestly, for the NFL, the virus hit just the right time for them, right after the combine. So, I mean, the draft was virtual, and it was their off season, so it doesn't affect them as much as other sports. So, they had it kind of easy compared to other sports. I know the MLB, they still don't know if they're going to play. In the NBA, they got a plan, but, I mean, how good of a plan is that going to be? They're going to be all playing in Florida while the NFL season's going. So it's the NFL season, they're going to be playing in the home stadiums, but the NBA is going to be playing playoff games all in one city. So I don't know how that's going to work, but yeah.
Yeah, I heard the hiccup with NBA was there wasn't enough nice hotels to fit all the teams. Is that accurate information?
I don't know how accurate that is, but if teams that don't have a chance at the playoffs, they're bringing 22 teams back out of 30, so it's just the bottom 8 teams. There's not. I mean, they had no chance at the playoffs before, so no need to bring in more people into a bubble city the more people, the more chance of the virus to spread. So I feel like they should have just went straight to the playoffs with the NBA and not even bring 22 teams, just the regular 16. But the thing is, their playoffs is gonna start around like September, so they're gonna all be playing in the one city while the NFL got fans in stadiums playing in their hometowns. So I don't know how NBA fans are gonna feel about that. It's gonna feel like to them that the NBA isn't run as good as the NFL, but it's hard to.
Yeah, true.
It's hard because.
Well, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. The NBA does some stuff better than the NFL, but I'm saying like the NBA had it much harder than the NFL because the NBA, it was in the middle of the season, so they didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I mean, it's kind of hard. You got to find a city that'll let you play, and you got to book all the hotel rooms. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with during the season because you can't push the season too late. Because there's the last day of the season for the NBA is October 12th, and what's that, week 6 of the NFL, week 5 or 6? Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're gonna lose a lot of viewers to the NBA games. I mean, the NFL games during their finals. So I mean, NBA's in a tough spot. So we'll see how the NFL does it once the season starts.
Yeah. Now, you and I have gone to training camps when we were younger where we, watched practices and things like that. And it's a pretty cool experience, especially for those and families who can't afford to go to actual games or just multiple games and frequently. It gives you an opportunity to get, up close and see the players and maybe get an autograph and have that close fan interaction that not everyone can experience. So do you think that's I don't think that's going to be a possibility this year.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, training camp, I know some teams that would already started training camp, so there's no way they're going to be able to do that.
Around the corner.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to do the regular training camp how it was in years past. Everything's going to be done in the facility in the NFL's city. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot different than other off seasons. I know that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned going back to Drew Brees a little bit, or I should say the Saints. The Saints' interest in Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So now it's coming out. The Saints was really interested in Tom Brady before deciding to stick with Drew Brees. So how do you think the Saints would be if they had Tom Brady, and where do you think Drew Brees would be at right now?
I think Drew would be retired. I don't think Drew would have played for anyone else but the Saints. I just think, unlike Tom Brady, like he wasn't looking to. I think he was in like a perfect situation with the perfect coach and where they already have that chemistry. I don't think him trying to go and rebuild something or I shouldn't say rebuild, but him going to a different opportunity and trying to make a run was something that, it's a little different than Tom. I think Tom feels he can elevate the players around him, and I think Drew could too, but not at the same level Tom currently could. So, I think if the Saints had Tom Brady, they would.
Do you think?
I think they would be better off.
You think the better team would be if Tom Brady and Gronk went to the Saints, or the Bucs is still a better team?
I think it's tough because the Bucs are so unproven. Like they haven't been in that spotlight. It's very difficult to say like, oh yeah, they've proven themselves. As opposed to the Saints, they have some dudes on that team, both offense and defense, that they were there in that Super Bowl in 2010, and they've been to multiple playoffs and made runs. And granted, they had some heartbreaking losses the past few years, but they've been competitive. And I think for the Bucs, they're so young, which is promising for the future, but as far as a win now, I mean, how is this second-year player going to pull through and hold his man in the NFC Championship game in December? In January. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if Gronk and Drew and Tom Brady went to the Saints, they'd definitely be a better team than the Bucs. Because Saints is a more experienced team compared to the Bucs, and they got a better coach than me. And
I like Arians, but I do think Peyton is the better coach.
Yeah, but you said Drew Brees would retire?
Yeah, I don't think he would go anywhere. Where do you see him going?
Man, you think Drew Brees would retire? Because imagine Tom Brady taking your spot and you just retiring. You think that's what he'll do?
Yeah. You know what?
You know who Drew Brees' favorite team is
Patriots?
as a growing up, right?
No, I don't.
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
If Tom Brady would have went to the Saints, I would 80% sure Drew Brees would be on the Cowboys right now.
That's an interesting landing spot. I didn't even think about that. And Jerry would take him too in a heartbeat.
Easily. And then Jameis, would he still be on the Bucs?
I don't know about Jameis.
I don't know. It's a lot of dominoes if that would happen.
Cam maybe. Cam on the Bucs.
Cam on the Bucs over Jameis?
No, where would Dak Prescott go? Dak Prescott on the Bucs.
Prescott on the Bucs? I don't know. You never know. You never know what these teams.
Or Prescott in New England.
I feel like if the Bucs didn't get Tom Brady, they would have to re-sign Jameis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dak Prescott, I don't know where Dak Prescott would be right now.
Oakland?
Maybe. Washington?
Yeah.
Play the Cowboys twice a year?
That's a real good spot, actually. You know I'm a fan.
Oh, I know. Yeah, maybe Dak Prescott would be in the Redskins right now.
That's a pretty interesting take. All right, so let's wrap up with this. The ESPN came out with a mock draft, assuming that every NFL player was available to be picked, and there are some pretty interesting choices, and I'm still quoting here, interesting choices in the first round. Yeah. Cincinnati takes Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Super Bowl MVP. Washington goes with Russell Wilson. Detroit takes Lamar Jackson. How will you like your boy in Detroit?
I don't like it at all. Not like it at all.
He's the New York Giants take Deshaun Watson at number 4. That's pretty surprising there. And look, he's a winner. Don't get me wrong, and he's a quarterback. But I don't know if I would go 4 with Deshaun. Who do you got 5?
Oh, go ahead.
Number 5, Miami, Aaron Donald, defensive tackle. I mean, what do you think about a D lineman at number 5?
Yeah, that's a little too high, I think. I want to say, so what quarterback would you take 4th instead of Watson?
Carson Wentz.
I don't know about that one. You say Bill O'Brien. You say Bill O'Brien's the worst coach, the worst GM, but Deshaun Watson got his team better than Carson Wentz with less talent.
Hold on. I never said he's the worst coach. I've actually said I think he can coach. I said he is a terrible GM that doesn't know what he's doing. He should not have the authority that Bill Belichick has. He just can't handle it. He's too emotional, and he makes decisions based on who knows where he gets his decisions from. Like, I don't know who he's talking to. Or maybe that's the problem. He isn't talking to anybody and just doing whatever he wants. But whatever's happening, it's not working. And as far as a coach, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say he's a bad coach. He is definitely not one of the worst coaches, but I don't think he should be in charge of football operations. Not even close.
Okay, so if you were the Texans, you would offer Watson for Carson Wentz right now?
Yeah.
You're crazy.
I feel more comfortable.
What makes you more comfortable?
With the Eagles and Wentz than Deshaun and Houston.
No, I'm just saying as a player. If you were the Eagles GM, would you trade Wentz for Deshaun Watson?
No, I don't think so. No.
What makes you think Wentz is better than Watson?
Athletic ability.
Oh my God. Deshaun Watson. That was diving for first downs, getting helicoptered in the championship game.
Yeah. That's the Deshaun. Yep, absolutely. I am. I'm a Deshaun fan too. So let's move on here because I don't really like all this criticism on one of my favorite players in the league. He really is. LA Chargers take Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle, which I don't really agree with there either. You go Joey Bosa with Carolina, number 7, the first D lineman off the board, and again here too, not D lineman, I'm sorry, edge rusher. I would take Khalil Mack over Bosa. I don't know if they got him up there because of his age or what, but Arizona takes Brees again. Wentz, Rodgers, Brady. All of them over Brees. I would take all of them over Brees. Let's jump down to number 15, Denver. They take Drew Lock.
No. Let's go to number 13 first.
Okay, all right. 13, Indy, Joe Burrow. Yeah, I don't like that either. Tom Brady is right there.
Hasn't played one game in the NFL.
One game, and he played. He only played a handful of he had one good college season. He wasn't even. He's not like Trevor Lawrence, who's out here balling since day one.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how they could put a player that high. He haven't even played in the NFL yet. Doesn't make sense.
I would take Trevor Lawrence before Burrow.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Drew Lock goes to Denver at 15. Dallas takes Kyler Murray, 17. And how about this one? Pittsburgh, number 18, takes Teddy Bridgewater. What?
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know who made this list, but I don't understand it at all.
I don't agree with that at all. Jimmy Garoppolo goes next to Chicago, but you understand he was just in the Super Bowl, right? And Teddy Bridgewater was a backup last year.
Right, and then
I don't get it.
All right, let's get down to the receivers. We got Michael Thomas, 22 to Buffalo. We got DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins going 26 to Houston.
Isn't that ironic?
Right. And then Mike Evans, 27 to Seattle. Tyreek Hill, 29 to Tennessee. And I don't see Julio Jones at all.
How is Tariq? Yeah, right. Where's Julio? Can someone put out an APB on Julio?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would take Mike Evans over Julio.
How is Tariq not number 1? He clearly they've shown defensive have shown how terrified they are of Tariq. No one's like that. And now, all right.
Yeah, I was going to say, relax a little bit.
Beasts too. They're beasts too. Don't get me wrong. Man, you got Stafford at 28 to Baltimore.
That sounds awful.
Behind Ryan Tannehill.
That sounds awful.
Got Khalil Mack 24 to New Orleans. I think he should be much higher. You got a running back McCaffrey at 20 to the Rams. He's the only running back on the list, right?
He's the only one.
And the only cornerback on the list, number 32, Kansas City, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, I don't see.
Isn't that like a growing position, like one of the most important positions these days?
Oh yeah, of course. I don't know how Stephon Gilmore could be 30, but Aaron Donald's number 5. That don't make sense to me.
Yeah, that makes That makes no sense right there. Tua goes Green Bay at number 30, and then Kittle, San Francisco ends up keeping Kittle at 31. And that's the only tight end off the board, right?
Yep, he's the only one on the board. Yeah, I don't know who made this list, but I don't understand what they were thinking. They would have this thing.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, 21 to Philadelphia, in front of Tannehill, Stafford, Tua.
Yeah, this whole list, I don't know, but I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of people won't, and that's why we're talking about it, right?
I'm so surprised you think Wentz is better than Deshaun Watson.
You what?
I'm so surprised you think Wentz is better than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, let's. All right, so, look, we don't have. Well, we have one running back, one tight end, one cornerback on this list. It kind of shows you that it's a QB league, it's a quarterback league, and as of late, it's a receiver league. You know, you see more receivers on it. If we would have did this list based on 1990, we probably would have had a lot more running backs. Right?
Oh yeah, it'd be more running backs than quarterbacks.
Yeah, maybe. So it just shows you how the game is changing, how it's evolving, and how it's looking moving into the future.
You still think defense wins championships?
I do, yeah. Only because offenses are so high powered now. I don't think we're going to see the defenses that completely shut out offenses, but I think you got to have some defensive plays in order to win championships. Because if you're just going back and forth in a fireworks show, like the team that stops the other team once is going to win the game,
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make a play on defense. But I think defenses are shifting to the strong punch you in the mouth kind of defenses to the quick, swift playmaking ability defenses.
Yeah, they definitely are. And then with the rules changing, it's making offense easier and easier. So, I mean, I feel like now defense is still really important, but man, give it like 5 more years, I think that's going to start to change a little bit.
Yeah, just strip sacks and interceptions.
Yeah, you got Mahomes, Lamar, Deshaun Watson. They're going to be tearing up the league. They're going to be just giving them weapons.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our podcast today. Again, we do thank all of you for listening. Please rate and review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are also on Facebook at The Davis Football Show, our YouTube channel at The Davis Football Show, our Instagram at The Davis Football Show, and our Twitter page at Davis F Ball Show. Please go on, follow, rate, review, and subscribe.